All right, I think we are on. So thank you everyone. Hello everyone. To start with, I'm just coming on. So you might not see me yet. It takes a moment for you to see that I'm on. So we're just gonna wait until you can join me and we will start. Hi Terry, you are the first one to be here. Wonderful. I'm glad you found hard to join the live because I know you always have, but some people don't find it because Facebook doesn't always bring it up automatically. So that's why I give the instruction this time, so there is no issue for anyone. So you are staying up late tonight, but I'm going to start with your questions. So I mean, it would be great if you could stay till the end because at the very end I have a very deep high shape. Wonderful. I am very happy to hold your friend in prayer, in the truth of his being. So thank you for the request. But going back to my hi Sam, wonderful to see you here too, joining live. Great, wonderful. No, I don't know what I was saying. um, yeah, so I was gonna say like I have got something very nice reserved for the end of the live session. Very deep meditation, a little bit longer than usually we do. I actually gave this to somebody. Hey Gabriel, wonderful to have you here. So I actually gave somebody in the group was expressing to me privately that he has got great difficulty being grateful, and then I'm offering some help. I put down a few words for him as how to start, and it became quite long but very deep, and I thought this would be wonderful to use this for our end of meditation. And Sean is here too. Thank you, Sean. Great you could make it even though you're working today. I appreciate your presence always. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate everyone's presence. Honestly, it's wonderful when you can watch back the live, but being here in this energy together at one is really doing something special. So, and I really appreciate you putting the time aside, even though, for example, for Terry is after 10 p.m. in the UK, and some people even in the middle of the night wake up. I used to do that as well. So when your heart is beating for nothing but the truth, and that is all you're here for, it doesn't matter if the alarm goes off at 1 o'clock in the morning. You would just go to the distance like I have, and that is the right attitude. But of course I don't expect people to wake up in the middle of the night. But if this is what you feel like, then it's wonderful. Nika Nilakanta, thank you for your question. I just read it. Your question just came in right before the session, so I'm going to read out loud from my phone, because usually I send all the messages to my email, so everything is all together. And there was another question, but I will definitely remember your question. And there was somebody else just sent a question, so I have to go by my phone with that. And they came in two different platforms, so I opened both of them in one of my phones and one phone each, so hopefully I can get to it quickly as I'm reading out loud the questions. But anyhow, enough talking. Oh, somebody wants to send you a message. Oh, I can attend to that later. So my phone is turned up. If any issues with the live, because sometimes there can be a momentary disconnection from the internet, and that would stop the live. Hey Victoria, thank you darling, and hello Greg if you're there too. So if the live stops or anything issue happens, I'm here talking and I might not even know it. So in that case, please somebody call me on Messenger. Only message me and call me during the live if there's a major issue, because as you know, last time, when the message come through out of good intent, I can get really distracted and I cannot come back to the subject, because once I get into it, once the spirit kind of takes over, I'm speaking from a completely different dimension, and when I realized that, oh my God, we're not on, I come back to this dimension in a way, and I don't know what I was talking about. But please call me or message me, and please, if any issues ever with the internet, and if we get disconnected, I will come back again to the live within a couple of minutes or so. So stay here, stay tuned. I have been having a bit of an issue with my laptop, but I'm anticipating a good session and good connection, so no freezing and nothing happening. Beholding the truth, knowing the truth, only perfection. So all good. So let us start this session. I have got a fair bit of things intended to go through, and I'm not sure in what order is going to happen in any moment as I am hearing it from within. So first of all, we're just centering and preparing ourselves to open up, totally open up, to leave aside all judgments, all concepts, all preconceived ideas, and just come like an infant, like a newborn babe that doesn't know what is right, what is wrong, what is good, what is bad. Let us come here with that childlike innocence, because to the degree that we're able to come to the session with no thoughts about it, no expectation about it, in total childlike innocence, to that degree we will get benefit from the session. So to start with, because one of the subjects that we're covering today, the topic, it is related to the questions as well, is surrender. So what I moved to read by Robert this time is from his book, The Silence of the Heart, a short passage at the subject, at the chapter Surrender. And that is opening us. We're going to go to a minute silence with that, and that starts us. So, the truth comes to you of its own free will when you prepare yourself through deep surrender to yourself, giving up all attachments, giving up your body, your mind, and everything that's important to you, to the self. As long as you are holding on to anything, the reality will evade you. The reality only comes when you give up yourself, when you give up your ego, when you give up your needs, your wants, trying to make something happen, desires. When you give up trying to become self-realized, when you just give up, then something wonderful happens. You begin to expand, not your body, but consciousness which you are. You become all-pervading, absolute reality. It happens by itself. Yes, so surrender. Surrender is the big topic today. Gratitude and surrender, because it goes hand in hand, the two things together. So I just would like to clarify something to begin with, because sometimes Robert's teaching, like all teaching can sound contradictory and paradox, because in his book, for example, The Silence of the Heart, there is a chapter, the surrender, and then it's followed by another chapter called renunciation. And almost like the two is contradicting itself, because in the surrender one, he says, let go. Let go all of your attachments, surrender all your desires, give up everything and let go. And then in the other one, that is followed by this one, says that you don't have to let go anything, there is nothing to surrender, there is nothing to give up. So we just need to discern, when he's talking like this, because what he's really saying is, as the self, it depends on who we are identifying ourselves with in any given moment. If we identify ourselves with the small self, being a human being in a space and time localized, and that has to be surrendered, that has to be given up, because only the human sense has got preferences and desires and shame and guilt and forgiveness issues and all that. But as we identify as the true self, the omnipresent, omniscient, omnipotent self, the one and only, that self is already whole, is already complete. So there is nothing to let go of, because it's not holding on to anything, it is everything. So this is why it is sounding a bit contradictory. So when we arrive on the spiritual path, and this is how the flow goes. As I said to you, I'm going to go with the flow. Oh, it took me out. I have to go back. You know how Facebook is like. I have to find. Okay, I found it quickly. So I'm going to the first question, and sadly yours coming next. But this one just came in, and it's just a wonderful entry to getting even more to your question. So this one is from Michelle, and she's saying, I am so lost in being. I can no longer really do much. Is this a transitional process, or is this where it's supposed to be? I have accepted it if it is, but was curious. Thank you. So what we need to know that as we enter the spiritual path, some of us enter to start with because we would like to improve our humanhood. We would like initially, I believe we all come to the spiritual path because we are in a state of suffering or an addiction or something that is disturbing our human experience. And if we think, if I just become spiritual, if I bring on the light, that there is a light that I can bring on, then my experience will be better. I will enjoy more health, more wealth, greater friendships. And initially, as we start the path, there is a bit of a betterment in the human experience, and that is to keep you aligned, to keep you stay on the field and continue, your practice. But as you continue, initially we are drawn to teachers that are aiding us to improve our humanhood. In the metaphysics, when we are manifesting, visualizing, affirming, and it's great, there's a power out there and I can use it if I just get the right formula. Oh my God, I'm in power, I'm in control. And for a while that goes like that. And the big shock comes as we advance on the path. It suddenly stops working. All the visualizing, all the affirmation, everything with it stops working, and that's a good thing. That is a sign of progress, because what we really need to do is to completely stop making anything happen. We need to realize that there is not a power out there that I'm going to use. The power is in here where I am, and I let that power use me. It comes through me. So as we progress on the spiritual path, we attract to ourselves teachers that are truly self-realized, and ultimately we attract to ourselves a sage, a yani. And when that happens, oh my God, hair breaks loose, because everything gets turned upside down. And that, Michelle, if that is where you are at, is a completely normal process of the awakening, because the entire human picture that we have been living by, the false safety and security, has to completely dissolve. Everything we put our faith in, person, place, and thing in this world, and we outlined how our good to come, and we were attached to that, it has to be wiped out. So basically, this is why we're experiencing in the Christian terminology, they say dark night of the soul. When we say, oh my God, I wanted to improve my things. I thought I was not well, but I was better off when I was a human. Look at me now. I lost my job, I lost my health, I lost my friends, and everything breaks hell loose, and then just for a moment you almost wish you can go back to humanhood. but you cannot go back to humanhood, because humanhood is gone for you. You have gone far enough, that's gone. So the dissolution of the identification with the self started and gone so far ahead, there's no turning back, there's no going back. And the only way we're going to be making progress is going ahead if we put into application certain spiritual principles that are kind of more highly advanced. And this is what we have been covering here in this group, like being in the timelessness, living from the eternal now, here and now, and rising beyond mind identification. So if we are not prepared to continue on the higher realm, then we never stuck, but we kind of feel in the middle. The old is gone and the new is not quite established yet. So the human castle, the old, is being demolished completely before the new temple, the new consciousness can be built, and it is being built. But this one even too is a paradox, because nothing is being built, everything is here and everything is now, and the only thing that we are losing, so to speak, is we actually not giving up anything. We're not losing anything. We're only losing or giving up our way of going about things. So there is no losing at all. There is only a different approach. So here's what I'm about to say, and this is coming to Terry as well, and I'm going to read out her question. Is going so much hand in hand with Misha's one, so I'm going to read this one out as well. And I didn't bring up the questions. Here we go. I just opened my laptop before I started. So because Terry asked me, I think this is a difficult one. Does Robert define this statement? How about family and children? We are responsible for our children. We may need to care for parents and siblings. And what she was asking about, it was this post on surrender. When it said, I'm going to read this out loud and I answered. The surrender post by Robert was, you cannot mentally be attached to person, place, and thing and awaken at the same time. If you want liberation, you have to pay the price. And the price is letting go, giving it all up, surrendering. So that was Terry's one. So, but you never give up anything, only just a way of going about it. But in the deepest sense, what is surrender? Surrender is not a giving up. Surrender is an accepting. And that's a huge one, because we're not giving up anything, and only that can die out of from our experience. That is the false, that is the not everlasting, the impermanent. That is the only thing that is dying out. But that which we are, and that is forever here and present, can never go anywhere. It has never come and it will never go. So what are we accepting when we surrender? What are we, first of all, what are we surrendering? We're surrendering human will, desire, ambitions, beliefs, concepts, judgments, comparisons, the concept of good and bad. That's what we're surrendering. Basically, we're surrendering duality. We're surrendering, we're giving up. We stop insisting living in the material plane, where good and evil, good and bad can happen, when pairs of opposites can happen. Instead, we're rising beyond time, which is here, in the eternal now, beyond the pairs of opposites, where the ever-present perfection is here and now, always. And so what we are accepting when we surrender, when all the seeming negatives or difficult suggestions from mind come to our present sense or present the time sense, what we're really accepting is reality, oneness, wholeness, perfection, harmony, joy, bliss that is here, and that is surrender. So that is surrender. It's not resisting that which seems to appear in our life experience, but accepting that which has always been here and will always be here. Now, to answer Terry's question, because we must not misunderstand this, it doesn't mean we're not going to be caring for our loved ones, parents, aging, and we need to care for them. We're not giving up on them. The give up is truly, most importantly, the struggle, the strive, the identification which seems to be happening. We're not giving up anything else. So your loved ones, your children, your family, and whoever you seem to be responsible. Now here this word is important, responsible. As humans, we believe, and this is egoistic of course, because we think we can do something. We believe that we are the doer and we are responsible for our children's welfare, our parents and all that. But in the deepest sense, we are not responsible for that, because we are nobody and nothing, and I of my own self can do nothing as a person. However, there is a kind of a responsibility, and that responsibility is to be the self, the capital self. And we only truly are identifying as the capital self, as the true self, Brahman, if we perceive our loved ones just as the self as we perceive ourselves. Because if I say, okay, I accept my spiritual identity, that I am the wholeness and perfection, but that is not appearing only where I seem to be in a localized space of time. The correct acceptance of spiritual identity is the omnipresent self. It means that my loved ones are included, everybody included, the good people, the bad people, the murderers, everybody included. Where the murderers, where the rapists, where the war, or whatever seems to be happening, it's only happening in the dream world, because in reality, only the self is. So everything always in the spiritual life boils down to one thing, and goes back to this one thing: accept the self, and that is surrender. Now if we say, I surrender my human sense of self, now we gotta be careful with that, because if I say I surrender, then there is a subject, an entity already that is non-existent, surrendering something that is also non-existent. So true surrender, when it is done ultimately, is really not a doing, but a being. It cannot be done, because then it implies two. So it has to be a being, which means the acceptance of my true identity has to be acted upon. And that is when I'm being the self. But when I'm being the self, when I'm truly am the self, and I am understanding very deeply, the nature of that self, then all the worries and the concerns for the loved ones fades away, because if I truly do my job, in a way, like accepting myself, it includes them as well. And grace is always here. The ever-present grace, which is the goodness of the totality of the wholeness, the fullness, the self-completeness, is always here. It is here for everyone, but the only way we can partake it is to be the self, because grace cannot flow to a me, to a personal sense. It can only flow to itself. But the beautiful thing is, and there was this post I put up yesterday, that the love of the self is so total, is so beautiful and so deep, that even while there is personal identification, the body is still cared for, we still looked after, because we are so deeply loved. So what I would like to point out here is one thing that has to be surrendered. Is a very important one. When I say surrendered, is not to feed it energetically, is ambition. Because as long as we live having goals, we have ambition, then it means that we are moving in the horizontal line in time. We are believing that this world is real, and my life as Palma or as Terry or as Michelle is real. And we believe that we are progressing towards a better tomorrow. And that has to completely die out of our consciousness if we are to ever fully wake up, which of course we are already awakened, but you know what I mean. Because as long as we move on the horizontal line, we're not moving on the vertical line, which is the true movement of going nowhere but deeper and deeper into the truth of my being. So because truly this life, and I'm going to touch on the karma a little bit. There was I can't see the name now, but I will bring it up, somebody asking me to talk about karma more and more, and we always touch that will always be part of their lives, because it's so important to have the deep understanding of this so that we can respond rightly, to the appearances. And so this life that it seems to be like your precious experience is actually not going anywhere. Now that can be shocking to the ego, and then it can be really shocking to the ego that there is no control, you don't know what's going to come tomorrow. But the thing is, it's not going anywhere. But what's happening is the karmic past is appearing into the time sense, into the present sense, and this is not a life of yours is progressing at all anywhere. So, and as we discussed this in the previous live, there is a movie. The movie is my story. The movie is made of my story, and that my story and the karmic experiences were shaped based on concept, on beliefs brought in even from previous lives, and that's how the karmic thing is shaped, and it's coming into the present time sense. So it is almost like a tape, like a movie we're watching, but it's a delayed broadcast, because it has already happened. Everything is already finished. Our human life, there's no life, but our human incarnation, this present incarnation, is already totally lived. What is yet to come tomorrow or in 5 years' time is already past. Everything is already past to God, to the self, who has got no past, not in past, but in the eternal now, which encompasses past, even present, and future. So whatever is coming to the time sense is already past. It's a finished, everything is finished. So what we can do, because the karmic experience is going to come no matter what. So we don't know what's coming tomorrow. We could be hit by a car tomorrow. We could be we could break our leg. We could win the lotto. And many things can happen, and we don't know. So we cannot control the outer. However, the inner controls the outer. We can't control the outer, but by our inner response or reaction or no reaction, the outer is controlled, and it shapes the tomorrow. So when these experiences come to our present tense, this movie is being played and it comes. As I said this, I'm saying it again because we could be new people here, and it's very important to hear this, I feel, and that the tape can be stopped for that moment. And in that moment, we are kind of centering ourselves in that no movement at all. like eternal now, when nothing has ever happened, no past, no future, and then the time stops, and the thinking, the thought stops. And when that happens, in that moment, the karma is completely wiped out, erased. And if we're able to zero down in that moment, then we never have to go through that particular experience again. But if we do respond and react to it, like with resistance or with hate or being upset or being irritated by someone or by an experience, then we're going to have to go through it again. Why? Because in our consciousness, the world is still very real, because we only really react to people, places and things when we believe that this is real, this is happening. So, and if we react to it, it means there is a word, a real word for us, in our consciousness, and then it's going to have to be coming again. We're going to have to go through it again. So that is what I want to touch on this briefly, as we know the importance of the time to stop. Another aspect that we were touching just very lately is, for the self-realization, as Robert says, to develop that humility, the compassion, and the love. And this brings up the next question, and then I'm still kind of answering throughout the session your question, Terry and Michelle, but I trust that it kind of has given you kind of an answer or a relief, which is an understanding that there is nothing you're responsible for but to be the self. And if you can be the self, then all of your needs and the loved one needs will be automatically met. It will look like you are doing it, because it always looks like we're doing it. We're doing it, the hands and the feet moving, the mouth is moving, speaking, but we're not doing anything. It's being done. It's already done. So that's why we give up the struggle and the strive. And this is what it is like to live by grace, which is beautiful. But living by grace is the effortless ease, when everything automatically, spontaneously, easily and effortlessly comes into our experience as and when it needed. There's nothing we have to do but remain in that silent space, at one, with the one, because then it can flow in and deliver what is already here. And that is the most beautiful thing, but it can only really function when the mind is put aside, because the mind has assumed the throne, ruling, and then the mind can come back and with all kind of fears and worries, but we must not never listen or believe anything the mind says. If we can just ignore that and just remain in that awareness, that I am here in the eternal now, and everything gets spontaneously fulfilled. And like, what I would like to add, one more thing is about what surrender truly is. Surrender is forgiveness. Is really erasing from the consciousness that that I am incomplete. That I am incomplete. And what I have seen here in this group, with some people who message me privately, and that egoic self is so strong. It just wants to insist on being a disgraced person, a person who made a mistake. And let us understand, as long as we play that tape again, and continue to play the tape that I made a mistake in the past, and I'm suffering the consequences, and I keep hearing this over and over and over again still, then it just indicates that the true understanding hasn't taken place yet in the consciousness, and which is the divine helplessness. This is the word that I came up with. I don't know where it came from, but it came to me last time. This kind of a divine helplessness of, we don't know what's coming. but we just trust and know that everything is unfolding perfectly. And there was this post the other day when Robert said about the faith, trusting the process. We got to trust in the process. If our life turned upside down, if we are bedridden with sickness or whatever, if our nice luxurious apartment is taken from us or the job, let us trust that that is what is serving us in this moment. And this brings to another thought that it's true surrender is really also a rejection and an acceptance. Now, I trust I'm not confusing anybody with this, because you know how Robert always says that you have to deny it, you have to deny it, it's not real, it's not real. I see it, I feel it, I touch it, but I'm not experiencing it, I'm free from it. So whatever seeming negativity comes to our experience, we know it's not happening, and that's the rejecting part of it. And the accepting part of it is accepting reality and also not to resist it. So it's a very delicate dance, and we need to really discern and feel into it energetically. So let us use an example, just bring into awareness, because I did say that this is a hands-on experience here in the life. So that's the greatest benefit from it, that it's a hands-on experience. So let us bring into awareness some kind of condition that is disturbing to the human experience, to our experience, something we haven't been able to transcend or transmute. It keeps coming back to us. No matter what we do, it's here. So let us bring into awareness something. Some of us might have more than one, even 2, 3, or even more. So, and let us just feel into energetically, what would it feel like? Say, I lost my job. I lost the job. Actually, best not to use the mind, because nothing is mine in this world. The job is gone, and now another job was given to me that is really difficult to perform. Or I'm living in a noisy apartment because I didn't take the right action in the past to keep the luxurious, whatever comes to mind that brings us the blame, the mystic consciousness. And what it would feel like to not resist it, to just allow it to be. It doesn't mean I accept it. It's not real. It's only happening in this world. But what it would be like if there would be no resistance to it. It's here anyway. What we resist persists. So all it is asking is just to create a sanctuary in our heart, to accept it. To accept it, meaning to allow it to be. That's what it is. But at the same time, we're not accepting it to be the truth, because we know what the truth is. That sickness and limitation and poverty and evil and all that is not real. But because it came to our awareness, it came for us to embrace it, by meaning allowing it. And once we do that, it will fall away. Whatever it is, whatever difficulty that is, it will dissipate, dissolve, because it was never there to begin with. But until and unless it is allowed to be, it's going to insist and continue coming back as a disturbance. But the one who is disturbed by it, we can always inquire about it. To whom does it come? Whom does it come? And that's the greatest inquiry, because it cannot come to anyone, right? Because there's only the self here. But we cannot answer this. It has to be a discovery from within. So, yes. perhaps we have done this now, so we felt into it, and there is peace. There is peace, and when there is peace, when everything happens within first. If the peace is not felt, if the acceptance of what is not felt, it's not going to be peace in the without. So, no matter what comes to us, this is the only effort we have to take, is truly to remain at peace about it and inquire, to whom does it come? Whom does it come? So I trust it has answered your questions. So I covered the two questions, Terry and Michelle, and I'm going to the next one now, and that is Enrico. Says, in most teachings, when they say love yourself, is referring to the ego self or true self. I think it must be the ego, as the true self is already love. And Enrico asked this question on the post that said, how do you love God? By loving everything in the universe, by reconciling yourself with the whole universe. Just in the temperature. So I'm here. So again, love. What is love? Love must be the absence of the little me, because I cannot really love a thing, because all things is myself, the true self. And if I say, which we do in the human, experience, and that's fine, like I love you, but of course that is duality. It is a subject and an object. But we truly love God and the self, and we express that when we abide as the oneness consciousness, as the one omnipresent, omniscient, omnipotent self. I cannot abide loving the self or loving God, as I think this is how Robert said, how do you love God? By loving everything in the universe, by treating everything as it is God. Everything, everyone and everything and every experience has to be blessed, no matter how hellish it looks like it, because behind it all is only the self, only God, and that is the only way we can love God. We cannot love another one. So Enrico asking, like, it must be referring to the ego self, to love the self. It's not really referring to the ego self, because we don't need to love the self. So there has been some posts recently when we said, look into the mirror and have you ever loved yourself? Then we are called to look past the features of the face or the body shape, and then see beyond. Loving God, loving the self, is knowing that no matter what the five senses testify to, in the appearance of anything and everything in this world, is only harmony, peace, bliss, only God, the totality of everything. And that is the true love. And at the very end, I actually sent Enrico because he had difficulty. He expressed, he doesn't mind me saying this, he expressed to me that he had difficulty applying gratitude, because I say always that gratitude is the fastest to raise the vibration. I mean, if we feel ourselves depressed, and obviously the first one is always self-inquiry, to whom does that come? But say that the depression is beyond the depression, or the self-pity, or sorry for ourselves, or the guilt, the condemnation, the self-condemnation is so. And then when we feel like Michelle, I didn't feel like I completely addressed Michelle, when she feels like so at lust, like sometimes this whole experience can feel like so disillusioned and so disheartening, and almost like no point. What is the point to continue? Everything that I enjoyed in the past is gone, and then we just need to know that in that moment to trust the process and just know that there was a time when like there was like a yearning in the heart to return home, which we never left, but to merge with the self, and almost like kind of God said, okay, there's a call and I bring you home. I bring you home. So that we must trust the process. Like the awakening, it's like a pathless path. Like there is no paved path for every being. The way to awakening, to self-realization is completely different. Some of us are called to go through this completely by ourselves, and experiencing a lot of loneliness initially, a lot of alone time, a seeming disconnection from the whole, an emptiness, while others are in the pattern of the marriage and the family rhythm, and then they gotta juggle it all. So some, and then of course we always want what the other has. Like if we are so very busy with family patterns and we just want, oh, I wish I was by myself, I could devote more time to truth. And then when we are so alone all the time, we just say, oh, I just would like a little bit of busyness. But we just need to trust that there is a divine intelligence in operation that knows exactly the way to bring us home. And we must trust the process at all times, at all times. And sometimes it can be really surprising, the unfoldment, and I mean the demand upon us, what is being made upon us. I mean, if we are to make it home all the way, we have to come to the point of nothingness. But again, the giving up is only mentally, not identifying, which means I might have a car today, it can be gone tomorrow. There might be a job today, and if I don't have a job tomorrow, then that's okay, because the self, infinite intelligence, knows best what is needed in any given moment in the unfolding process. So and in this unfolding process, I'm just coming back to the camera now. I was watching at my camera, the email, and I'm coming to your question as well in a minute, Nilakanta. So in this unfolding process, we got to trust. And you know what? When we truly are here for freedom and we say, I give it all, there's only one desire left, and that is to merge and be that one. And then things being taken from us temporarily, we might look like we are bereft and without. And in those moments, our faith is challenged. Doubt comes, very strong doubt comes. Oh my God, what have I done? What have I done? I ruined my life. I came on the spiritual path because I wanted to do the right thing, to go all the way. And look what I've done, I made a mistake, But there is no mistake, and no choice, and no doer. Everything is a finish, and it's coming to our present experience. Now, I wasn't sure if I'm going to share this with you, but I know I'm going to share a little bit of it now, if you don't mind, because I would like to give a taste of the extreme that one might need to go through before one awakens to the fullest, because nothing can be kept, no attachment, no reliance on anything in this world, only on the self. So, as you know, I come from the Christian mysticism background, and they used to say that there is a test, there is initiation into high initiation, and to become the living embodiment of the highest truth, we are to live up to the highest truth that we know, and there's an initiation or a test. So every time we say, I accept, I am the one, I live by that, it seems that way, that almost like we are hit in the faith right away, like almost like a test comes or a challenge comes to see if we really truly live up to the highest light that we know, or we're going to compromise our integrity and move into fear, worry, and concern. So, and also the reason why I would like to share this with you, because I am very, very big on living in the eternal now, outside of time, beyond time, because there is a knowingness. There was a living, actual experience related to this topic that proved to me that that is the way. Because when I am outside of time, when I'm not in past or future or even present, then the mind is not functioning anymore. So we don't have to always stop the thinking, and either stop the thinking or stop time. Because once time is not, then we are not in the mind anymore. And there was a time in my life that, in my experience, then that kind of helped me through an extremely challenging period that I didn't know how to come out of it. And that was many years ago. I have always been very dedicated. I used to call myself truth student. For me, there was always this clarity, crystal clear clarity, since I can remember. I'm here for one thing, and that is for the truth. That is to be the self, completely as a living embodiment of the truth. And I would sell anything and everything from this human experience for that in exchange. So I came into this life experience with already a tremendous compassion in me. I never had to develop compassion. Many people always ask me, how can you love your parents for what they put you through as a child? And I don't know, I just could never see wrong. And then I know that what they did to me, it seemingly was not right sometimes. And seemingly was very cruel, very harsh, and how can you put a child through that or all that? But I don't know why, I just always loved them the way they were, and I could never feel resentment or anger or anything, only compassion. I tried to go there and say, why am I not feeling anger? Why? I just could never feel it. So anyhow, that was one thing that was already established. But then, so there was this time, I'm going to share with you this story. And I don't usually share stories in the past, but I would like you to see what happens when one moves out of time. So many years ago, I was living on the Gold Coast, Australia, another state. I was going to go to a house sit, and then I recently returned from Hungary at that time, and I had no idea what is in store for me. I know that 20 years ago, even, 25 years ago, I was already running groups, like I had people coming to my living room, like 20 people in the living room, doing meditation classes and all that. I was into the Reiki and the Reiki master, all that gone. I tore up all the certificates because I know it means nothing. But I've been doing this for many years, and sometimes I was able to engage with the spiritual sharing and that type of thing, and I was taken away from it for years, for deeper growth. And this was a particular time when I hadn't been doing the groups and the kind of sharing or teaching or whatever we want to share. Teaching no one, but sharing, pointing. And there was this deeply felt desire in my heart that I really would love to return to this, because I'm so enjoying I'm so enjoying even now when I'm doing this, because I'm doing this not because I'm loving it. I was put here to do what I'm doing right now, but there is love, tremendous love attached to what I'm doing, and it's not a work, it's just a joy. And this is what I wanted to do, what I felt like I would like to do, but nothing opened up, and I didn't have a job. Now this is one thing that that in this incarnation I had very few traditional jobs. I just was not given traditional jobs. I always lived by grace, and my needs were always met beautifully, easily and effortlessly, but I didn't have a job at this time. And you know how you can go to Social Security and apply for the doll and all that. And at this time, I heard from within that I am to let go of all reliance on this human way that I knew before. And I don't know, something just said to me to just stay put and just uh, stay as the presence, as love, and trust the process, and nothing was open up. So anyhow, I had enough money to rent a room, and then I continued living my beautiful experience. Every day swimming, I bought flowers and nice food and everything. But the money got less and less and less, and I just people suggested me. I mean, that person who rented me that room suggested that why don't you go on the door? Why don't you go to Social Security? And I said it doesn't feel right. Sometimes it feels right to accept that, and there comes a time when you're being put through some kind of an experience when your ultimate faith is kind of almost tested, and said no, I'm not gonna go there. And I didn't tell any of my close friends what situation I was in, and the money was getting less and less, and until I said to the landlady that look, if I cannot pay anymore, I will move out. And the time came. I would like to cut this short because um, it's a long one, but I'm trying to cut it short. And then I said I will move out. Actually, I actually wrote this, and this is why I'm also sharing this, because I said we're talking about silence, the only power, and that is the chapter of my book that I wrote about in this experience, the silence, the only power, because I was forced into silence like never, ever, ever before to make it. And so the time come when there was just very little money and not enough money left for paying the rent. But while I still was in this place, something really strange started, and I know that all these experiences that we sometimes report are all coming through the senses. It's all coming through the mind, but nevertheless there was a lot of light experience. It just started to come. It felt like there was a lot of light coming to me 3 weeks prior to moving out from this place. It hit me so hard, so much that I could almost like barely move and open my eyes. Everything was kind of glassy. I couldn't see clearly, and it knocked me out. Great headaches and all that. But then I recovered, and then it came again, and it came again. And the third time it came, this huge light is just it didn't go away. And I thought, my God, how am I gonna stay with this? Like I just felt like everything was torn into a million pieces in me. And then anyhow, so the light stayed, but it was still, I had the kind of sensation that it was coming to me. But all this was coming in the time when I did my best to not to react to the circumstances and not to fear what's going to happen to me, because the greatest fear would have been that I become homeless out of my stupidity. That at that time I didn't know so much about karma. I didn't know that that everything is coming to my experience, and there's divine helplessness. I didn't really know, and so I just had to trust that everything is unfolding beautifully and perfectly. And then the time came when I had to pack up and loaded the car, and I thought that's the day, that's it, I'm becoming homeless. Like, my stupidity drove me here. I didn't go and get the social security support, and now I'm going to be homeless. But in a way, I didn't mind. I didn't wish for the opposite to happen, because I just felt like this was meant to happen, and it was meant to happen, and I've come so far ahead that whatever God would put me through, I'm willing to go through. And then there was somebody an hour drive away from the Gold Coast to Brisbane, who I knew from previous houses, and then I thought maybe I can just unload the car. All my belongings were in the car, and unload the car, and then before I go and sleep somewhere in the car. And then what happened is quite miraculous, because so in this unfolding process before moving out, I discovered something so profound, that if I am able to stay out of time, like I just experimented with that, like I'm not allowing the mind to take me to the future and to create all kind of scenarios, how I may end up, how I come out of this experience. And the minute I was able to zero down in that no time, there was total peace. The mind stopped, the thought stopped, all the fear, everything stopped. So it became my ongoing practice for the period of the 3 weeks prior to moving out, is to completely just stay in the now, stay in the now, not to move past, not to go into the future, not to create scenarios. And that was to me a great discovery. I didn't really read about it. It was many years ago. I didn't know about eternal now as much as I do know now, but I discovered it before I knew it. I discovered this to be the absolute truth. And then when I say I discovered it, there was nobody discovering it, but it got discovered. And then I got into that car, and I moved, and then I drove to Brisbane, and there was this friend asking me, why Palma? Why putting yourself through this? Like, when you don't have to go through this. I said, I don't know. I'm not making it up. This is the experience I have to go through. So to cut it really short, there was no resistance to what was taking place, and I would give anything and everything for truth. There was a part of me, a knowingness that there is no mistake here, because the surrender, this little self, this little life was so fully and complete that I thought, it's all yours, God. It's all yours. You called me home. You take me. It's you. There's nothing I can. There was a realization of the absolute divine helplessness. I, as my own self, cannot save myself. I am nothing. And then what happened is a beautiful experience. This friend at first didn't offer me that I can stay. He allowed me to unload my car and leave all my belongings in the garage. And I thought, okay, he didn't offer me to stay, so this will be my first night of being a homeless person for the love of truth, for the love of God. And then I'm happy to go through whatever I have to go through. And then he came back after an hour phone call. He was on the phone, and he offered me that I can stay for the night. And then so what happened after that is all that accumulated faith and trust and obedience as to self, and remaining in the timelessness, and then just absolutely knowing that I am nothing as a person. What happened is that kind of light unfoldment that started for 3 weeks, a light coming to me on that night when I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning. There was just my entire being felt like on fire, and that was like a big difference, because whereas before I always felt that light coming to me, and at this time the light was shooting out like everywhere, like a million places, as if I was the sun, and that was a knowingness without a shadow of a doubt that this is the true identification. The light that I am is the light that lights up the whole world, and that is everyone and everything. And it was pretty intense. I felt like the power was here. There was not out there. The power was here. The power is I am, and it felt so tremendous. Like I felt like there's nothing I cannot do. Of course, not the human self, but because there was no me anymore. At that time it felt that way anyway. That there was no me present. And what I'm trying to say is that had I not abided in the uncertainty for a period of time, had there not been trust in the process, had I gone back into the full safety and security of getting the money the way I thought I would be getting, or just to fulfill my needs in the old human ways, I really don't feel that this power would have opened up, this whole thing would have come to me. Because give it all up and get it all back. There is nothing that we're really giving up, but everything is here, but we need to move out of time. If we move out of time, if the ambition is gone, if trying to solve our problems is gone, not solving anything, the surrender has to be so total. The giving up, as Robert says, that is almost scary. That was scary, in a way, it was scary. The thought of homelessness was very scary. But then we can inquire to whom that is scary. And, the truth is, I never had to become homeless, never been homeless, never been without. And that night, I got really beautiful dinner by my friend, and I got to stay there for 10 days. And after that, everything just opened up spontaneously, beautifully, everything. Eventually that light experience wore off. After a few weeks it was diminishing gradually, but it stays with me forever. That knowingness that is the only reality, it stays with me forever. And it doesn't mean that challenges didn't come, because they did come. Like, the truth is unfolding and forever going, and did come. But that was, I feel like I got the experience happened because there was no experiencer. That's why there was nobody experiencing it. But it wouldn't have come if I had remained in the full sense of safety and security. We are called to live by grace, and that is the only thing we're giving up: the struggle and the strive and the responsibility for our own life. For we have no life. There's only one life, and that is the life of the self, eternal, omnipresent, and that is functioning in the absence. It's always here, but it takes over completely as we stop insisting being the little self, the unfortunate self, the one that is hurt, that is disgraced, that has to be given up. And I trust that we all understand by now that if we continue talking about a me that is unfortunate, that has got a difficult experience, oh, my life is so difficult, my all the challenges, we're going to get more of that. Because what we think about, what we say, we become. So that period, that is the karma of this world. That is the law of the karma. So with that understanding, we can continue in a completely different way. The only thing we need to learn is just to rest. Rest in the beingness, rest in grace consciousness, the have it all and the have it now consciousness. In the eternal now, it's all here, and it's all now. Because to infinity, as we discussed last time, is nothing over there. Nothing is out of reach. Because infinity is everywhere. So to him, to infinity, it says, it's here. It's always here. So whatever the needs are always here. And we are to accept it. How do we accept grace? How do we accept divine providence? By relaxing and knowing that it's here, not seeking anything, not wanting anything. It's all here. So I'm sorry I've gone a little bit deep into that, but I just wanted to make a point, and it is much better written in the book, in more elegantly, in that chapter, Silence, the Only Power. But it truly is, that was the only one thing that so-called saved me, in that experience, is the silence, is the aligning myself with the one completely. No separation, no seeking. So let me just have a look at this thing here. Then we're gonna move on to a couple of more questions, and then gonna move to a couple of more questions. Actually, I opened the wrong one here. Sorry, I'm on my email looking at the things. Yeah. Okay, so at the end we will do more on the gratitude, how to be this gratitude vibration with our meditation. And I think I have already covered Felipe's question. He said, I love those topics about karma, predestination, and everything being preordained. If you could please talk about this. And I think we have touched that, the trust and the karma, so I don't think I'm going to go more into that today as the time is going. I would like to answer this one question of which phone? Here, I think it's here. I have to find it again. One question that came in before we started, and then I'm answering Gabriel's question, and then we can go into our beautiful, deep, very deep meditation today. So I need to find it. Where is this question coming from? You know how Facebook is, the phone just takes it out. Okay, I found it. So I'm reading this from my phone. It came in right before the live, and thank you for bearing with me. Just know that some other people's question could be our question as well, so we could be benefiting from that. So I am thankful for your patience with that. So it is Nilakanta Krishna. Thank you for your question. I have been practicing self-inquiry for about 2.5 years. Last month, I was looking inwards to find the ego and realized ego can never be found because it does not exist. What remained in absence of ego was the inward awareness alone. My understanding then was that my true nature was awareness of the source. When I was aware of awareness, the silence became deepening as good as effortless. This silence extended to my waking state, and as long as I am self-aware, the silence remains irrespective of my actions. Ego illusion is not completely dead. It tries to pop up every time I stop being self-aware, resulting in thoughts. This morning, post-meditation, I remained aware of the silence behind the thoughts, even though thoughts popped up to assert the ego illusion. Do I continue to be self-aware and drawn in silence? Will the result in my awareness merging with ultimate awareness, or do I continue looking inwards, searching for the source of the ego? Resting as pure awareness feels great, but there is no inquiry left to be done. Bhagavan and Robert both stressed on who am I being the last stick of the, I don't understand the word here, the funeral, that gets dissolved in the end when the I merges with the heart. Silence continues when awareness is outward too, so I haven't been looking inward. Does that matter anymore? Can I assume there is no in and no out, just pure awareness? Well, definitely there is no in and no out, because there is only the infinite, invisible, ever-present self. But what I'm getting from your post is like you've been practicing inquiry, like who am I, and then you are progressing beautifully in your practice because it's a natural progression. The self-inquiry is going on for quite a while, could be going on for years, but it comes a moment when something just doesn't want to do it anymore. And then it's not laziness, it's just you've gone far ahead and it's being dropped. It just feels too noisy to the mind. I can relate to that because I still sometimes, if something comes, I would ask to whom it comes for a moment, but to completely always doing self-inquiry sometimes is, it depends on where we are at. Like if there's not a big issue or nothing going on, that can bring too much noise to the mind in my experience, and remaining in the silence is the way to go. So again, I feel like it's a very individual unfoldment. So you need to discern into it. So by all means, if you feel like not inclined to continue because there is so much peace and silence in your being, and you carry this awareness 24 hours now, even in your waking state, when the body seems to be performing something, you still remain self-aware. And then if thoughts come, like, you can either just be aware of them, you catch them, and then not believing them, you're not identifying with them, and that's all very well. If they become disturbing, or taking you out of your peaceful state, then that's when I would definitely do the self-inquiry still, to whom does this come. If they just pop up because that thoughts are just coming, and there will always be some thoughts coming, I feel, although these true masters, sages, say that there is a moment when just no thought comes at all. We are yet to tap into that stage, so I cannot speak from that experience because I haven't had that, what it is like, but it was just a message. Nothing. Thank you, Gabriel. So in that comes, but yeah. So that is what we're doing. So you continue in your awareness, and just be aware that it's not you being aware. Like, it's not like, I'm sure you know this. Like, you can't say I'm aware and I lost awareness, because if you lost awareness, then you haven't been aware, because awareness is aware of itself, and then awareness is. I'm just kick this. Awareness is aware of itself, and then so you just watch the thoughts to come. There is no inside out. There is only just the infinite, everywhere present self. I mean, I trust I have answered your question. If not, please let me know. And yes, only awareness exists. And I'm sorry I cannot read the comments at the moment, because I will read it, because it takes me out from this flow that I am in a different dimension talking. But before we end, I will come to the comments and I read it. That's just the way it is. If this was a face-to-face meeting and we would engage a dialogue, that would be a different thing. But because I'm here by myself and I'm not seeing anybody, I'm just only seeing the screen. It's just coming as it is coming, and then from time to time I look at the comments, but I will look at them before we finish, for sure. Okay. So I just need to have a sip of water and then be coming to the next question, which is the last one. I left you last this time, Gabriel. I hope you don't mind. Just one thought that came to me before I moved there. How it's just popping to me like another thing is, every time we feel that something is missing from our experience, something is too much or something is not enough, let us remember that nothing is ever missing. What is missing is the self-awareness. What is missing is being conscious of the self, identifying with the true self. Because when the identification with the true self is taking place, then it's an impossibility for anything to miss or be shortage or lack or limitation, because by the nature of the self, as I'm aware of this, as there's awareness of the self, there is automatic divine compelling fulfillment. Always, it's self-complete and self-fulfilled. But you see, this is the other thing that we need to keep in awareness, that we're not going to seek the things in this world. When something seems to be missing from our experience, be it a job or a company or more health or anything, or satisfaction, anything, then we're not seeking that in this world, because if we do, then we're just seeking the pairs of opposites, and we're going to remain in karma, we're going to remain in time, and no progression, because the progression cannot ever happen in time for us anymore. We have come far enough on the path that from here on there is no more progression, only to go deeper, deeper, deeper within, only on the vertical line. No progression on the horizontal line in time anymore. With that understanding, we stop seeking for the things of this world. And there is this terminology in the Christian mysticism which I really like. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all things will be added unto you. Which means that as I am self-aware, as I am aware of awareness, as I am only identifying with the omnipresent self as the omnipresent self, then whatever seems to be lacking or missing in my experience will show up automatically. But if I go the other way around, of seeking the things in this world, then I remain in duality, and then I remain in karma, and I might get it temporarily with lots of struggle and strive, but that's not living by grace, and that's not going to be everlasting. Whereas if there is an understanding of grace and to always resting, I mean, isn't it amazing that we've been on this path, I'm sure you with me, like 20, 30, 40 years, and we went through so many books, so many teachers, so much knowledge, and we're coming to this moment of realization and understanding that all we really ever needed was to be silent. Because when I'm silent, when I'm calm, when there is calmness, when there is silence, then time stops. When time stops, mind stops, karma stops, everything stops. That's when the tape stops, the tape, the karmic tape. For that moment, adjustment is made, and then the out picture and the outer plane will match the inner realization of harmony, peace, bliss, everlasting joy. But it cannot be sought on the outer. You will never get it from the outer, not at this point of unfolding consciousness. Maybe back then 20 years ago, when we were still working at the manifestation level, visualization and affirmation and all that, yeah, we got it. And if we were blessed enough, it only lasts for us for a minute, so to speak, not for years and years of enjoying all the manifestation, but for a minute, because it was but a step towards the ultimate. So nothing has gone wrong. No mistakes in our experience, and we're just trusting the unfoldment. We're trusting and be grateful. Be grateful. And the gratitude, I just want to say this, and I'm going to touch it at the end. Gratitude, we are so conditioned to be grateful for things in this world, especially the good things. It's very easy to be grateful. Oh, I'm so grateful the sun came up, it's shining today. I'm so grateful my health is back. I'm so grateful that I got a job, I got a raise in my payment. And it's not really the deepest, highest gratitude. True gratitude is not to be grateful for the things of this world, but to be grateful for the presence, for the love that is here, there, and everywhere. And when that is in place, when that is intact, then that gratitude, inner felt gratitude, will translate in every area in the experience. That doesn't mean that there will be no sickness and no pain, but there will be grace present that will enable us to live with that condition, or whatever we are to go through, knowing that I have got nothing to do with the body. Total, utter disidentification from the personal sense. But we're going to get to that at the very end when we get there. But now, I'm going to read the messages soon. I'm going to come to Gabrielle. Hi Victor, too, wonderful to have you, and thank you for all the messages. I'm just staying really tuned in on what is coming here. So the last question is Gabrielle's question, and there will be shape requested prayer for somebody who is in hospital, and we will hold this being in prayer as we move into the meditation, as this was the request, and I like to honor that. But let us consciously know when we attempt to pray for somebody that we're not praying for the opposite to come through, because that would be not the right prayer. We know that everything is unfolding perfectly, and that individual, that is the karmic experience, and that is where he or she needs to be right now. We are merely knowing the perfection and the wholeness and the completeness of the unfoldment of this being. In whatever way it's going, we just know it is perfect. And by us knowing, maybe because we are one in consciousness, we touch the consciousness of that individual, and if there is no peace, then that's how we bring peace to it. But we're not here to improve anything in the human kingdom. We are here to know and accept, to reject what is not real, to accept what is real, and to know the difference in between, to delicate dance. So, okay, so now I'm coming to Gabriel. Let me see the last question. And today it looks like, how many minutes I am in now? It's a longer session. The 2-hour one today again. Sorry, guys. It always depends on how many questions. Last time were not that many, but I'm sure you don't mind. So, thank you for your questions again, Gabriel. So what I'm going to do, as I read out loud your questions, I'm going to break them and kind of answer right away, segment by segment, because that keeps it a little bit shorter, and otherwise it gets too long and I have to go back segment to segment again, and I don't want to do it that way. Would be not the right way today. So Gabriel says, Robert explains, the second principle is this: you are unborn, you do not persist, and you do not disappear. In other words, you were never born. The life that you are experiencing does not exist. You do not die. You have always been. That is so true. The life of a false image is moving through the karmic past. The karmic past is coming to the present sense, and you were never born, and the life that you experience doesn't exist. So I cannot say I have a life. We are used to condition saying my life, his life, her life, and we thought it's going somewhere, progressing somewhere, getting better, getting greater. There is no life. We have no life. We have no life. This is not our life. So that is an understanding. So then Gabriel continues. What I'm saying is there is no cause for anything. As an example, we speak about creation. How did creation begin? What is its cause? It's all a manifestation of the mind. Well, absolutely true. Like it's there is no beginning. There is really no beginning, and the question comes like, what comes first, the chicken or the egg, or the seed or the tree? We really don't know. Like it's a kind of a mystery. But the way we are to look at this mortal dream is the way we look at the dreams at night. So when we go to sleep and the dream's coming, when the dream starts, can we say that dream had a beginning, and what was the beginning of the dream? You probably can't say that. I cannot say that. I'm just entering the dream, and there's already a set of scenarios and people and a situation, sometimes weird, and I kind of pick it up from there, and it seems to be very real. It seems to be so real until I wake up and open my eyes and that was only a dream. And then we think that now I'm in the waking state, now I'm in the real one, the dream is over. But what we are to realize is we're just entering another dream. This is the dream, not another dream. It's the continuation of the same dream. But it feels very real. Even this conversation right now is happening in that movie, in that tape, is not real, but it feels very real. Only when the true awakening dawns in consciousness that nothing has ever happened, we will say, I thought it was real, but it's not real. So it has no beginning. It has no beginning. It has no cause, no beginning. So I continue with your a passage. Gabriel, you say, Ramesh Bhaskar, another disciple of Ramana, speaks about creation with these words. The whole movie has already happened. Therefore, what you call your whole life has already happened. This is destiny. Everything that is going to happen to that body, mind, organism has to happen because it has already happened. Destiny is usually a thought of something that will happen in the future. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna tells Arjuna, I have already killed them. You are worried about having to kill your enemies, but I have already killed them. In other words, the movie has already been finished. I have written the story, I have written the script, I am acting all the characters in the film, and I am witnessing the film, which is already finished, as a witness. Yes, so it was a longer passage, but let me just go back how I'm going to address this. So we posted a few things on this, like I'm the dreamer in the dream, and we are dreamers in the dream, and really the only purpose of it is to wake up, to wake up from this dream. So, and in this dream, I appear to be the actor, the producer, the director, and this movie is kind of my story, and this whole story is shaped, the whole karma coming to this present sense is shaped by the conditioned beliefs and concepts and all that. And the death of the body mind is only the ending, is really the ending of this illusion. So when there is when it dawns on consciousness, then the mind never existed, the body is only like it's non-existent, there is no substance to it, and that is the only thing that ends this journey in time. And then there is fully awakening, and then the story is over. The divine novel has been written, and then and so everything, what we need to understand, and again it's very important to emphasize that the divine novel has been written, and everything on in it has already there. All the contents is going to come into this present sense, whether we like it or not. So that is why it is totally futile and pointless to resist anything, because it's coming to the experience, and it is always shaped by the conditioned conditioned beliefs and concepts that is oftentimes brought from previous lifetime as well. But again, as we zero in when they come into the present tense and we don't react, that is one of the most important prerequisites. We went through these 5 pointers, I think it was yesterday that I posted, or the day before yesterday, the prerequisites for transcending the world. One of them was this no reaction. The other one was totally let go, like it's almost scary. And then there was another one is to just watch, to be the witness, no identification. So we just need to keep this in mind. Yes, so I've just added a few thoughts, and the mortal already has been finished. That's it. It's already over. It's already over. So then it continues, Gabriel's words. That is why nothing we talk about makes sense, and that is exactly what Ramana Maharishi means when he says that there is no creation and there is no dissolution. That's right. There is none of that, because the creation never happened. From like that. There is only, but we're going to go into that. This creation is only coming from, in this world, and that is formed by the karmic experiences. So then it continues, it's just a movie, so what was there before the source created the movie? Nothing. There was no creation, and the film is not really a creation. I already answered that. There is no creation. And sometimes we look at these beautiful flowers and something, beautiful baby and all that, and then it is not existent, just as the ugly is not there, the bad is not there, the good is not there either. And this is what on the spiritual path sometimes you're finding to give it up the hardest. We learn to give up the bad and the evil, not to resist it. We say, okay, I understand the nature of the self being perfection and harmony and beauty and joy and all that. But this is, all this seeming negative is not happening. But unless and until we have the same attitude towards the seeming beautiful things and good things, we're still moving on the horizontal line in time, in duality, in mind identification. Both of them has to, this is why to know, to live by grace and to really experience that unalloyed happiness and bliss and peace that Robert is referring to, both has to be given up, surrendered, which means giving up is again only mentally, our attachment to it, our desire to it, our preferences, we just not out, no outlining, that's the right word, no outlining whatsoever. We have to come into this divine neutrality, into this I mind not, I care not what comes, because I know that it is not reality. We have to come into that divine neutrality, divinely detached and lovingly indifferent. And then, because only when we able to take that approach of no preference, no outline, then reality can come into the picture, and it will look like peace and joy and bliss and grace, but it will not be as the opposite of the other one that we want to get rid of. It will be way beyond that. It will be here, whether the experiences we having good or bad or whatever, because it's our true nature. So, and this is the question now, the last paragraph comes. My question is, I suppose that in relative terms, what creates is karma, which in absolute terms does not exist. Therefore, there would be no creation. On the other hand, if time is eternal and simultaneous, and chronological time does not exist, everything existed, exists, and will exist, so there is no creation or dissolution, since everything exists in it without beginning. Is that so? So what can I talk about it? So we kind of already covered it, but so no creation. Everything here in this world is emanating from the mind, and everything is without beginning or without end, and everything is simultaneous. Now this is something that the mind cannot comprehend, and sometimes just things have to be left to mystery, and we not need to understand how it works, but that is how it is, that when we're not in time, we're not moving on the horizontal line, and then we are in the eternal now, which is always here. And with the understanding of the eternal now is that, as Gabriel said, everything is happening simultaneously. Like, for example, the Second World War is happening right now. The time of Hitler, of millions being killed, is happening right now. Or the surgery that you might be scheduled for in a couple of months' time is happening right now. Or marriage, divorce, 5 years down the track is happening right now. A baby being born next week is right now. Everything is now to God, because that God is not in time. So everything is here and everything is now, and everything is encompassed in the totality of that now, past, present, and future. So it is a little bit tricky to understand and not possible to understand with the mind, but as we rest with this, we can take the topic into consciousness. There is no creation, there is no creation, and then kind of rest with that. Then the inner confirmation of that truth, or whatever, however it is, be revealed to us. And sometimes there is not even words to it, anything. It's just a divine knowingness, knowing by no one, that this is the truth. This is why it's really difficult to explain truth or talk about truth, because there are no words for it. There are no words to describe, because if we can describe it, then it's not truth anymore. So that's why questions sometimes cannot be answered, because if they answered, then they're not the truth, because we're trying to describe that which is not possible to answer, but you know what I mean. So no creation, everything in this world is emanating from the mind. Whatever is taking place through the five senses is a mirage. Is a hypnotism. It's only taking place through the five senses, appearing to whom we always do the inquiry, and we come to realize. There comes a moment of realization that it really is nothing more than a thought. But then where did the thought come? To whom comes the thought? And then with this inquiry, the mind gets quieter and quieter and quieter until all questions are gone. There's just nothing to ask, because there's nothing to know. But I do appreciate your questions, so please keep them coming. They're great. So I trust that it kind of, you ask the questions, Gabriel, every time so deeply and so beautifully that more than half of the time the answer is already in the question. In your lines are already there. Sometimes I have a feeling that almost like you are asking for confirmation, or my way of saying it, because the answer is kind of already here. You already know, but this is my input on that. This is how I see it. I trust that was helpful. And there was one more a question by Shape, and honestly, I don't mean to Shape. Yeah, the same person. He's from Hungary, the same one who asked for a prayer, which we're going to get to now. You asked me to talk more about the mirror and the reflection and the screen, but I'm afraid we don't have the time for that today. However, if this is an important topic for others as well, I just have to listen to more material by Robert, because I only really heard him talk about it like in a couple of tapes, and that one we already covered, and there is really not a lot more I can say about it at the moment. That's the other thing, but I'm happy to go deeper into that, into resting with that, and see if any more insights or deepening, or just go through the same thing again, because maybe that's what we all need to hear it again, and I'm happy to do that in another life. So thank you for the understanding. I appreciate that. So now I trust we are doing good. I'm just going to take a moment to read the comments before we go into the meditation, because this will be a deeper one. It will take about 10-15 minutes, and it's really a deep inner work in a way. It's a beautiful opportunity for transmutation, transcending, and as we understand from the previous post I put up yesterday, Robert put it so beautifully in differentiate between the two. I never heard it that way, and I thought it was great. The transcending and the transmuting, that when we transcend this world, it's a gradual unfoldment. It's a progression, like almost like the light comes, and there's a click inside, and there's a deeper understanding, and the awareness is just expanding. But it's not complete. Vasana still come. The mind can still take us out from that deep, peaceful state. That's the transcending gradually. And transmuting is when the revelation from inside comes so deeply and so powerfully that it completely wipes out all of the concepts and beliefs had in the subconscious. It has an effect on the body, or basically the brain surrenders to the mind, and the mind just wipes out. So that is what happens to some individuals. like Eckhart Tolle, after years of suffering, had that sudden and complete awakening, and some others, like Robert, had that when he was 14. And some of us, and my experience has been, even though there were periods of, as I shared with you, deep light download kind of experiences, it has been a gradual unfolding, a deepening, an ever deepening into the realization of the truth. So let us not compare ourselves with anybody and anything. Our process and our unfoldment is sweet and perfect as it is. So I'm going to look at the comments, and just in case there is somebody asking something. Okay. Very clear, great. I'm glad you feel it clear, Terry. That's wonderful. Not the acceptance. Okay, so thank you, Nikananta. That's okay, Maroon. You will catch up. You can watch it later. Whatever you missed. And you just told the story of my greatest fear. I'm not sure that I can surrender to it, even though I know what you say is true. As you say, I've always been okay, no matter. Yes, you said to me something, Diane, in a private message that I think it was you, falling from grace. And there is no such thing truly in falling from grace. It seems that way to the personal sense, because it's not possible to fall from grace. Grace is here, the self is here, and then that true surrender is just, again, the true surrender is done by accepting who we are. You can't give it up as a person, because there's nothing a person can do. A person cannot stop desires, a person cannot stop habits, nothing. However, with the understanding of the what is true, what is real, and accepting and resting in that, everything else, unlike itself, just falls away. And then the grace that has been always here is restored. It's just here, so. Alright. So, took me some time to find you. Too bad the sound is soft. I cannot hear you. Well, you need to put a headset on, because I have got an inbuilt camera here, an inbuilt microphone, sorry, and this is the best I can do. But I'm going to look into ways to improve the sound if I can. But others also saying to me that the sound is okay, so please let me know if the sound is not okay. I'm always saying to put a headset on. It really elevates the sound. So I apologize, but this is what I can do for now, and I will look into ways of how I can do it even louder. I would love to. Okay, so all right. So maybe I bring this laptop closer now, so there will be no sound issue when we do this meditation now. Oh, I have to. What happened? I don't know. Okay, here we go. Just need to adjust the camera and move my laptop. Okay, all right. I think it's okay this way, right? All right, so let us center ourselves. This is the gratitude meditation, which is so very important to live in the consciousness of grace, the consciousness of gratitude, the have it all and the have it now consciousness. Not waiting for something to come, not waiting for something to go away, but resting in the here and the now. So I'm moving because I actually given these words to a group member who had difficulty being grateful and found it very helpful, and that's why I'm sharing these words with you here. So we're taking a couple of breaths, zeroing down in that eternal now, not jumping into the past memories or into the future for anything, no worries, no concerns, just here and now. So in this moment, I may be going through a hard time, sickness, lack, or limitation, but I know I am not going through it. The ego is going through it, and I am not the ego. I really don't know humanly how to solve the seeming problems, but there is something I can do right now, and that will raise my vibration more than any other sadhana, and that is gratitude. I am now counting my blessings. I have a long list to be grateful for. However, there is an understanding that the deepest gratitude is not to be grateful for things, but for the presence itself, the self I am, the true substance I am, everywhere present, without which none of these things would appear. So we feel into this omnipresent self that I am, everywhere present, leaving nothing and no one out. The presence, this love, so deep, so intense, is here and now. It's enveloping my entire being. I am that. And there is gratitude for this grace, for this love, so great, so deep, always caring, always fulfilling itself. I now stir up the gratitude vibration in my heart, and I thank the divine I am for divine providence, love, and total fulfillment on all levels is here and now, and becomes my living experience as I move out of time to the eternal now, where everything already is complete and fulfilled. No need to struggle and strive for anything, only to accept it all, here and now, through surrender. Accepting reality here and now. I am thankful for the presence, the substance, the essence of all things, everywhere present. Wherever I am, there is fulfillment, and I am everywhere. Therefore, there is fulfillment everywhere. I am grateful for the food on the table, for the beautiful company, family or friends that surround me. I'm grateful for the job that was given for me to do. I'm grateful for the health that I'm experiencing, and I'm equally grateful for the sickness, for I know health or sickness is the same thing. Two sides of the same coin in this dual world. I am beyond all that. Preferences are surrendered in my consciousness as I now treat all things equally, because it is God, the self I am in all things, behind the scenes. Only I am present, here, there, everywhere. I am grateful for the so-called pleasant things, and even more grateful for the unwanted things, for they are the ones that pull me into constant obedience of the divine. They keep me awake and aware. If there is difficulty in my job, I am grateful for the opportunity to cease trying to solve it humanly. Instead, I know that infinite intelligence is ever present, and it is being and performing all things. I need but to stay quiet so that it can take the driver's seat and perform all with ease and grace. I admit that I humanly am nothing and cannot do anything, but I, as the divine self, I am everything, and I can do all things, and all things are already done. It is finished, it is whole, it is complete. I now understand that true surrender is not a giving up, but an accepting reality, timelessness, spiritual identity, truth. True surrender is forgiveness, and forgiveness is the understanding that only the self is present everywhere. So there is nothing to forgive and no one to forgive. Surrender is releasing the concept that I am incomplete, releasing the belief that something could be withheld from me that is essential for my awakening. I thought I was missing so many things in my experience, but now I see what I was missing is but the acceptance of the spiritual identity. And it is only truly accepted when it is non-local, but everywhere present. That means whoever I am seeing, whoever I'm talking to my very self. Myself, the true self, is infinite, the one and only presence everywhere. Right now, in this divine instant, human will, desires, ambitions, beliefs, judgments, comparisons, all these I surrendered, let go. Then there is only love. Loving the self is but abiding as that. Thy will be done, not my will. It may look like that a little bit more of certain things would be good, more health, more company, more money, but no, thy grace is my sufficiency in all things, and this is my absolute inner conviction, and that is having faith in the unfolding process. So let us remain in silence for a few minutes for deep assimilation of what has been said. It's not a doing, it's a being, it's an accepting, it's a being, the unborn, unaffected, unassociated self, free beyond the concept of freedom. I am that now. And sorry, just came to awareness in the silence that this is the moment, if it comes to awareness, to hold that being, the request, shape requested that person in the hospital, knowing there is no person, there is no hospital, there is only the infinite invisible self, and the unfolding is in absolute perfection. Nothing has gone wrong, and we merely holding the truth of this situation, and that is the prayer. Thank you. This is what being born again. This is what being reborn. Accepting the unborn self, which is being the unborn self, and looking at everyone as the unborn self, omnipresently, and that is accepting the self. By being it is the only way to accept it. No time is needed for that to happen. It's here and now. never left the house. I am home now, awakened now, never been asleep. I can only be free in this moment, and I am free in this moment beyond the concept of freedom. It cannot come tomorrow, or next week, or next year, or in next lifetime. Only now, only right now. So let us accept this freedom by being that freedom here and now. That's the way to move through this world. And I'm slowly opening my eyes because it's been a little over 2 hours, so you can stay in the silence longer. Ideally, I would like longer silence, but today we had a few questions. So, this couldn't happen without you. This beautiful movement that is taking place here is the sharing, the love, the truth, the joy, encouraging one another. It can only happen because we are like a philharmonic orchestra. Everybody is playing their part. Without your questions, without your suggestions for topic, without your comments, this couldn't happen. So, and without your beautiful presence. So thank you from the depth of my heart for taking the time and being here, and if you could stay to the end. And I'm very, very, very grateful for everybody's presence. So let us continue with this uplifted consciousness this coming days and week, striving to live up to the highest light we know, and we're living up to it by being it, by not waiting for anything. So thank you, everyone. All the love, peace, blessings, everyone. And I shall see you again next week. Until then, bye for now.